Dave, fifth on Boxing Day. I know you're probably looking beyond the league table at this stage of the season, but you'd have taken this position at the start of the campaign, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Decent start for us. Nearly or approaching the halfway stage, if you like, with everything to play for in the second half of the season. And if we'd been offered that, like you say, during the pre-season or the off-season, we'd absolutely taken it.
Looking ahead to 2025, if you were putting your Christmas list in right now, what areas of improvement do you want to see from your team in the second half of the season?
Um, I remain sort of consistent with what I've said. Really, I think we can get better in every area, and I imagine most managers would say the same thing around the teams. There's stuff we've done well, and got more consistent at, and there's still stuff that we can definitely improve upon. And that's the challenge for everyone. It's not a case of not so much resting on your laurels, but understanding that there's definitely more to come from the group and how we get the most out of each other, to better each other day to day.
It's a really obviously busy period coming up, the most intense period of the season. We've spoken about the players that I suppose on the edge of the first team right now and about them maximising their opportunities. That's going to be more important than ever over this particular period, isn't it?
Yeah, you would say so. Again, ideally from our perspective, you'd like to have continuity with the team selection, but the reality is you'd be very lucky to be able to do that and get the same output in terms of what players can produce. There's certainly 5 games in a short space of time, and for us 5 really tough games. So got to make sure that we're as fresh as we can be, whilst still doing everything we can to pick up points, like I say, maximise the opportunity that's in front of us.
In that regard, obviously we spoke about the benefit of having it in that Friday night game in terms of the atmosphere at Edgeley Park, but how much have you benefited from the extra day of preparation as well?
I don't think it's an extra day of preparation. I think it's an extra day of recovery, and even if it's an extra 12 hours, then it's beneficial. I think we've come through the game with unscathed in terms of injuries, and listen, we've got people that are carrying little bits, as you would expect at this time of the year, having played in the instances I'm talking about, the majority of games that they have. But it just allows you to, I suppose, have a little bit of downtime, make sure we recover properly. We were in on Saturday after the game, which again we did a pool session, and it was a relax and recover more than anything else. Then on Sunday off, we've obviously been back at it today. And more of an introduction. We'll do the majority of our work on Christmas Eve, and look forward to, like I say, what's a tough trip, but one that we're really looking forward to on Boxing Day, with what I'm sure will be a bumper crowd, a great atmosphere, and a real good test for us.
I can't not ask you about Louis Barry and the news of his recall coming up in January. Sounds obvious, but how big a blow is that to you to be losing him?
It's as big a blow as you want to make it, isn't it? That's the truth of it. Like I say, I think over the time I've said that there's enough from my perspective to concern myself with, that we've got control upon, without letting the things that you have less control upon worry you. So Louis been great. He started the season fantastic for us. He's got obviously the 3 games coming up over the Christmas and New Year period before he goes back to Aston Villa, and then again another situation that we're out of control of. We're not sure what will happen beyond that, but it just means that we have an opportunity within the window to either change a little bit in terms of personnel and shape that we can play with, which we have the ability to do. Opportunities for other players within the current squad that we have to step into that role, or the opportunity to reshape the squad during the window, all of which are open to us, and we've probably got a little time to decide the way we go about it. But in terms of how we go about things, we're always going to prepare for I suppose the worst case scenario. So although you you don't want to preempt things. You're always expecting things to happen, and when you've got lone players in, the likelihood is if they do well, then the reality of there not being speculation or movement around what they're doing is very, very minimal. So regardless of what happens, we'll use Lou over the next 3 games to try and, like I say, maximise the opportunity that's in front of us, and then we'll see what happens beyond that.
Presumably the benefit though of having this clarity early on is that it does allow you now to almost cut the noise out, draw a line under it, and fully focus on the 3 games.
That was the important bit for me. And listen, there'll still be speculation around what can happen. I'm not going to go into too much detail around what the plan is for Louis, and I don't want to give anyone unrealistic or false hopes. No one knows whether he's going to end up back here or not. That again, that's something that's a decision to be made by other people, not at this football club. But we see where we are. What we'll have to do is, and will do, is prepare as if that's not going to be the case, and look at what we need to do over this window. Because even with our squad, there are lads within our group that ideally, from our perspective, need to go out and play regular football over the second part of the season in order for them to, I suppose, have the opportunity and the stage to go and make the type of impact that Louis made on loan here. So if we can make that happen and give them a platform to get some regular football and get into a groove and make them more of an impact here, either further down the line within the season or as we look further into next season, then we'll obviously try and do that. That then means that there's the potential of things coming in and the squad looking, like I say, a little bit different, because what we've got to do is make sure we maximise the start to the season that we've had, put ourselves in a good place. But we're not even halfway through. It's important now that when the window shuts at the end of January, we've enough quality and enough in numbers to go and have a real push in the second half of the season.
Lots of positives to take from Friday night, many of which you've already covered with John, but great to see Challinor out there at the end of the game as well. Has he come through that okay, and how slowly will you need to go with him, I suppose, as he comes back?
Yeah, nearly fine. Again, we probably thought the most we could have him maybe 20-30 minutes, and obviously with Maka coming back, it's one that we have to keep an eye on, so it comes at a really, really good time for us. I suppose from my perspective and from a staffing perspective, we've got to be a little bit careful with him because he's been out for a long time. I would love the opportunity to be able to put him in, because I think he'll be, I say, important for us. His versatility and knowing what we do can have a big impact in our squad and in our team. But as I said probably a couple of weeks back, you'd hope that by the middle to the end of January, but hopefully the middle of January, we'll be at a point where we could really commit to having him play back-to-back games. If that comes before that, and we have a situation like we did with Maka and with Rydell, Noel's worked really, really hard in the period that he's been out of the squad and out of training in order to make sure he's in great shape, and he is that, but he needs his sharpness. He's had a couple of weeks of full training. Now he just needs the match minutes. Hopefully we get a chance to integrate him slowly and he can have an impact on the team.
Let's focus on Boxing Day. A big test. Huddersfield unbeaten in 11 league games now, but I guess you must view this as similar to the Birmingham game in terms of a great opportunity to go and see where you're at, I suppose, really, against one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, I think slightly different to the Birmingham game, because as I said previously, I see those games against that team as a bit of a one-off in terms of what you're coming up against. But Huddersfield now are in a position and having a type of run that you thought that they would have, having been relegated from the Championship last season. As with everything, I suppose you carry momentum in different ways into the start of a season. We carried the habit of winning football matches coming into this season. Huddersfield had the disappointment of what last season was, and a sort of fresh start in a different division. It'll take a little bit of time to sort of find their groove. they have done now, and have got, like I say, got themselves on a really good run, regardless of whether they're on a good run or not. Going there at any point in the year is going to be really, really difficult. Again, I wouldn't have any other way that we go there on Boxing Day, because I'm sure that makes the crowd an even bigger crowd, a brilliant atmosphere, and a brilliant environment and an atmosphere for our players to go and show what they can do in, and something we're really looking forward to.
Just finally, it's the last we'll hear of you before Christmas. Do you have a message for the supporters that'll be travelling to support you over the festive period?
Yeah, with my shocking voice at this part of the year, which is nothing new. No, I suppose as the Christmas period comes round and the year comes to an end, it's, from my perspective, on behalf of everyone at the club, especially the players and the staff, to obviously thank them for their support over the last season, which was a fantastic season for us, and the start of this season. And we hope that 2024 can finish off in a really, really positive light for us, and we can start 2025 in really, really good vein. It's a time of year where everybody undoubtedly will enjoy themselves, and hopefully we make the enjoyment a little bit merrier in terms of the performances we can put in, and hopefully pick some points up away from Edgeley Park before we return there to face Birmingham in a brilliant game on New Year's Day.
Appreciate your time, Dave. Have a great Christmas.
Cheers, thank you.